Sit down. Hello, Joel. Let me get seated. Everybody here? I'd like to call the Livingston County Board meeting of December 15th, Thursday, 6 p.m. to order. We're going to have the invocation. I guess Pastor Ambrose isn't here.
Yes, Pastor Ambrose was ill today, so Ginger is going to provide the invocation. Thank you.
Thank you. I wasn't aware of that. So please go ahead, Ginger.
If you will bow your heads, please. Holy, amazing God, we enter into this space in your presence. We give you the glory for all that happens within this county government, and within the lives of each one of these individually. Be with us this evening as we go through our agenda. May our hearts and our minds be focused on your will as all decisions are made. And then take us safely back home. We ask these things in the one who teaches us to serve, who teaches us to pray, our Lord and Savior, Jesus the Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Ginger. Now we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance led by Bill Mays. You have the agenda in front of you. I'll need a motion to approve the agenda in a second, please.
So moved.
Motion by Manker. Second.
Roll call.
Oh, I'm sorry. I passed it, didn't I? Let's do roll call first. Thank you. I'm glad you're here. So I just messed up early, and that's good. Now I get that over with. So let's do the roll call. Yeah, let's do the roll call. Thank you.
Vietti.
Here.
Bunning.
Present.
Fair.
Present.
Manker.
Present.
Berkman.
Present.
Ambrose.
Here.
Mannon.
Present.
Myers.
Present.
Runyon.
Here.
Mays.
Here.
Weller.
Here.
Fitstum.
Here.
Placard.
Present.
Ehring.
Here.
Welch.
Present.
Carley.
Present.
Lovell.
Present.
Ritter.
Present.
Okay, now we'll move to approval of the agenda. Motion is made by Manker to approve the agenda. Do I have a second? By Lovell.
Second.
And you just have a voice vote on that. So all in favor of approving the agenda, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I'll need approval of the minutes from November 17th. I'll need a motion and a second. Motion by Ritter,
Second.
second by Ehring. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Now we'll move to presentations. We have Connect Livingston Broadband, and Marty Fannin is going to lead the presentation. He has a gentleman with him that's going to help. So the floor is yours, Marty.
Nothing like being confused. Good evening, everybody. I'm here to talk to you tonight about the Connect Livingston broadband plan. We went over this before. I'm going to try and make it short and sweet, but make sure that I cover everything for those that weren't here before. Connect Livingston. Connect Livingston broadband plan. Team members were Kathy Arbogast, Ted Bachtold, Mark Keyscooter, Adam Dons, myself, Austin Hay from Dwight, Lena Hartley, Mike McKay from the PTHS, and we had quite a few more. Connect Livingston envisions an equitable deployment and use of robust, affordable broadband infrastructure that improves the quality of life and competitiveness of every resident, business, and organization in Livingston County, Illinois. The map that you see before you is where they say we have coverage, and this one actually shows it a little bit better. As you see the dark green in the western part of the county and in the southern part of the county and then that circle in the corner, that's where Illinois says we have coverage, but that's wireless and it doesn't meet the 25.3. It's very weak, and so it doesn't really meet what we need. So what we've learned is we did a broadband survey from June 29th to July 29th. We had 393 responses. 91% of those were home and business, and 6% were strictly business. 1% were community buildings, and 15% were farm and ag business. This is where all the respondents are. You see, as it should be probably, you see a lot of dots in Pontiac, Dwight, Fairbury, Forest, Chatsworth, and then a good representation of the rest of the county. So we got a good response from the survey that we did all throughout the county. The problem is, what you see here is unserved, and that means it doesn't meet the 25.3, 25 up, 3 down, to even be called served. So you see completely all through the county, and even in some of the towns, we don't have a lot of really good coverage. The key survey findings: 77% of respondents, 77% reported needing to resort to cellular data for internet. It just goes to show the unreliability and the need for improvement in all areas. If 77% of the people who responded, 77% of the county is not getting served and has to count on their phone to get internet, that's not good service. 64% of the respondents were not satisfied with the affordability of their internet service, and I'll raise my hand on that one. 59% of the respondents were not satisfied with the speed of their internet service, and 56% were not satisfied with the reliability. And I've heard that a lot from the people that we've talked to, as the internet frequently goes down. You'll see some of the comments later that internet goes down, speeds aren't there. You can't have more than 2 people on the internet without one getting kicked off or getting the infamous spinning wheel where it's trying to run. So 58% unserved. That shows speed less than 25.3, 25 up and 3 down, meeting the FC standard for unserved. 86% underserved, which shows speeds of less than 100 up and 20 down, which is meeting the FCC standard for underserved. 86% of respondents in the county were underserved. 86% of the county. We go to some of the survey comments that we had, and I'm going to read a couple of them, not all of them. They're up there for you to see. As an educator, our home internet made it very difficult to teach from home. Also, it never fails the minute we are on a deadline, school paper submission, online test for class, financials, etc., our internet either stalls or kicks us off repeatedly. Raise your hand if that happens to you quite a bit. It doesn't happen to me. I've got great internet. I'm one of the few. I just don't like paying for it. It costs an arm and a leg. I ain't lying. The other one I'm going to read. When we moved, because this is really relevant, when we moved to this small town, we did so in part because I am self-employed in business and ministry, that I can operate from anywhere. I didn't realize how unreliable internet service would be and often lose my connection in the middle of a meeting. Sometimes I need to record conversations to create videos. When I lose a connection, I need to reschedule my meetings, as do others. It's very frustrating. And what we've seen with, with COVID, and it really seems to be gravitating that way, is there's a lot of people that work from home or can work from home. And you can't work from home if you don't have good internet service. So we talk about wanting people to move into the county, but one of the things that they're going to start looking for even harder is what kind of internet service do you have? And you can't get people to move here that are working online if they can't get online. So I think it just goes to show how important internet service is in the county, especially a county that wants to grow. It is now estimated that nearly 58% of the population lack access to basic broadband coverage. The Livingston County broadband team is working to ensure all residents have access to affordable connectivity of at least 100 megabits symmetrical. When we did our provider interview summaries, there is no reward without effort. There is and will be hard work to be done. But the reward that we would get for the work and the efforts that would pay off through this would be passed down not just to us, but to our kids and our grandkids. So if we can build a robust internet, broadband internet in the county, it's not just us that's going to benefit from it. It's going to be our kids. It's going to be our grandkids. I know I've got grandkids in school, and a number of times, especially during COVID, and let's hope we never go back to that. But it happened, and I guess it did show how unreliable our internet service is in the county. Not a one-size-fits-all approach. This can't be done by one provider. This is not a one-size-fits-all. This is something that we're going to have to involve multiple parties, multiple companies, multiple partners to cover this county. This is, I mean, it's just not plug and play as we would like, but this is going to take a lot of hard work on our part and on our partners' part to get this accomplished. And collaboration is imperative. We're going to have to work with folks. We're going to have to work with federal government. We're going to have to work with state government. We're going to have to work with private companies. We're going to have to work with public companies. We should be working with the high school and the grade school. They're already in the process of trying to get internet service to their students. And I think working together, we can piggyback off what they've done, and they can piggyback off of what we can accomplish. Use every resource at our disposal, local, state, federal, county, municipality, private, public, whatever it takes to get this done is what we should be doing. And we need to leverage every dollar possible. And the reason, the main reason we did the Accelerate program was to see exactly what was out there and how we could leverage it. And to look at every opportunity that was available to us. Eliminate political red tape. We need to keep ourselves out of the way and not make the process any harder for this to be accomplished. If we're going to make it difficult, if we're going to put up roadblocks, if we're going to make it hard for this to be done, then we're not going to get participation. Companies are not going to want to jump through all that red tape. And we need to leverage our current resources. We've got local small providers. Those need to be brought in. We need to partner with them. We need to partner with the bigger ones and get them to expand. It's going to be a process. And I would hope that we could get this done. Priority strategy overview. And I think I've got a cotton ball in my mouth tonight, so excuse me. Establish financial commitment by the county board. Allows Connect Livingston to continue working through the Accelerate program, analyzing data received that we have received, identifying areas of need and impact, which I've shown you some maps that show where the need and the impact are. Creating solutions through public and private partnerships, applying for grant funding, and implementing the solutions. Leveraging federal and state funding to increase the impact of the ARPA funds that we've got. A Connect Illinois matching grant could turn $3 million, thank you, of Livingston County funds into $6 million. Federal broadband equity access and deployment, the BE program details are still being finalized. There's still some things that are in the works that are coming out, and we should be seeing more. I still get emails from Livingston, not Livingston County, University of Illinois. As an example, $15 million federal grant that created Servin required $2 million in state and local match funds. It's a perfect example of how local funds can be used, and we can take $2 million and make it $17 million. Now, if we can accomplish that, if we can take a minuscule amount of money that we have and make it grow and get it used, we've looked at, we had a company come in, and this is an expensive deal. Trying to do broadband and trying to get this run is not cheap. We had a company in, and Alina, remind me of the number, was it 9 million? I don't, it was a lot, it was a lot. But it was enough that we said, we gotta, and then this Accelerate program popped up, and we jumped in on that to see where we could get funds. So it's just a strategy. We're just trying to figure out how we can get this done for the county. Host a community anchor institution, a town hall, Livingston County municipalities, E911, schools, Heartland Community College, library, museum, hospital, Servin, GLC, EDC, the chamber. Define the resources needs, share where possible. Does fiber backhaul for an E911 or school tower help others? Absolutely. What about the residents along the path to the tower, which is one of the other things that we talked about. And we just want to ensure that we're not duplicating processes as we go through this. High school has already done some of these processes, so we want to work together and get everybody on the same page. We talked about towers. The E911 is on there. They have towers. How can we utilize those? How can we work with them to get access to those so that we can use those? There's just a number of things. Identify a plan for future requirements. Smart cities, traffic controls, safety act, virtual IT companies, ensure no area is left behind. We need to make sure that we are covering everything. We want this county covered. And if we can do that and work with our partners and partner up with some of these entities, I think we can get this done. I would, that's my part of it. I try to make it as quick as I possibly could. But I'd like to introduce Mark Kieskitter from Servin, and he's going to give his part of the presentation. Mark, all yours.
Thank you for having me. Make sure I've got this correct. Yeah. So Alina and Marty had originally invited Servin to participate in the Accelerate program, and you know, the reason why I'm here tonight is because if you're going to decide whether or not to earmark money for broadband, I'd like to make the case of why you might want to do that with Servin. And so Servin was originally started with grant funding under ISU, and the grant closed December 31st of 2013, and we started taking over operational assets and the operations of the network as a limited liability company in January of 2014. So we have a 501c3 status granted to us, so we are a nonprofit, and the LLC is actually owned by 5 entities, and those 5 entities are the City of Pontiac, the City of Bloomington, the Town of Normal, ISU, and Heartland Community College. And so each one of those entities has a representative from their entity on our board, and I report to the board of directors. And so when you look at where our footprint is at, Servin was built out to serve community anchor institutions, which are K-12 schools, municipalities, emergency responders, anywhere a kid would go to learn, libraries, museums, healthcare institutions, things like that, all throughout central Illinois with a focus on the rural communities. So this is the most current version of our map of where our network is at. And then we have two different geographically diverse paths that go north out of central Illinois. One is up 55, one is up 57. We hit two different data centers in Chicago, and there's a ring between those data centers. And then we also have a data center that we go to south in St. Louis. So what that means for our customers is that we're very rarely down. If we have some sort of issue, it's usually isolated to a street or a few streets because someone was digging in the ground and didn't call Julie and cut our fiber. So Livingston County has been a Serban customer ever since the original grant. Livingston County signed up under the grant team and contributed community matching dollars, which was a requirement of the grant money. And so Livingston County started receiving services in the summer of 2013 and have been a customer ever since. As I mentioned before, Alina had called me and shared that they would be participating in the Accelerate program. They thought it'd be a good fit for us to be involved as they were reaching out to many community partners, and we already provide service to the county and have for a long time, and they're very happy with the service. So we're actually engaging an engineering firm at our own cost to assist us with a grant application for the Connect Illinois funds. And that is a cost that we're taking on ourselves. We're not asking anybody to participate in that in addition to Livingston County, who may want to partner with us. We have other clients of ours that have needs that were not fulfilled by the original grant that would like to get some other sites connected. So we're going to get some assistance in getting a grant application put together. And if that's successful, we'd be moving forward on that then. The goal there would be is if Livingston County decides to allocate funds, we could use that as community matching dollars and then ask the state to match that. So whatever funds you might set aside, we'd be looking to double that for you and then put that to work within the county. I think that's all of my slides, so I don't know if anybody has any questions for me or Marty. I'd be happy to answer those.
Does this, I noticed in the last issue, County News, there was another article regarding counties and broadband, et cetera, it's in there just about every month. Is this one of those cases where he who hops on board first may have the best chance of getting the extra federal funding and ARPA funds or whatever?
It's generally how these work. A lot of times, if you don't get on the boat in time, you don't get on the boat. So this is one of those occasions where the money's there, and if you don't get the money, it goes very quick.
So timing is of the essence.
Yes.
Thank you.
So you said that we would put so much in, we could double our money. Is it possible to get more than that, than double sometimes?
I can't guarantee anything, because we're talking about the state or the feds. But at a minimum, it would be, we would be asking for it to be doubled or a 60% match. The more you're asking for without matching dollars, they score those, and so your rating is going to go down, and you're not going to be as successful in getting an application approved.
Okay, and then I was looking at your map, you showed the one going up 55. Are the little dark spots on that map where there's like a tower or something?
The dark spots on the map is the actual fiber assets that we own within the communities. The lighter blue is long haul access that we lease.
Okay, so the dark spot there, say Pontiac, that dark spot coming out there, that is what?
That is fiber that we own here
Okay.
in Pontiac.
Okay, all right. And then how far north does your fiber go if you follow that? I can't see that map past Pontiac.
We have access all the way at 55 to Chicago
You
to
said
a
that,
data
okay.
center
So
there.
all the towns pretty well picked up on that, or just?
Well, we don't provide services in Dwight or,
Okay,
you know,
that's what I was curious about.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. thank
the
you.
dark blue area communities on this map is what we serve. It's over 20 communities.
Okay, thanks.
Marty, at the state level, who decides on handing out these, how does that work? Who's the decision maker on who gets grants and who doesn't? On these funds that are passed through?
It's administered by the state of Illinois has created an Office of Broadband, and that is the entity that actually sponsored the Accelerate program that we've been going through. It basically teaches the communities how to apply for grants, and the federal BEAD money that was referenced, you can't apply for a grant with that yet. That's still being decided how that's going to be doled out, but you will have to apply through the state of Illinois Office of Broadband for that money as well.
I guess I'd like a little bit of your insight on what the end goal is here. I mean, I know you've said that your priority is rural areas that lack good access. You've got all this leased and owned fiber connectivity. I know bringing fiber to the home, even in urban areas, is oftentimes extremely expensive and unreasonable. You just can't do it. It's too much money for connecting each home. In rural areas like where I live, people rely on these towers and grain elevators that the internet is served off of. And like I'm served off of a tower, and my neighbors are served off grain elevators. But we have pretty solid connections. I don't lose connection that often. But again, it falls underneath this 25 megabit number you're talking about. It's usually 15. So I guess my question is the end goal getting more towers up so that there's more connectivity? I know a lot of neighbors of mine in areas along the river where there's a lot of timber don't have line of sight to some of these grain elevators, things like that. So is that the end goal, to get more towers up and with better, 5G technology, or what's your goal here?
The reality is that the amount of money it would take to do fiber to the home to everybody in the county is just hundreds of
Astronomical.
millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And so the goal is to leverage the funds that are available to provide the best rural service in the areas of the greatest need. And then also, while we're doing that, collaborate with E911, the schools, et cetera, to see how we can partner. Right now the school towers only serve devices that are issued by the school. So, that's great for the kids that are getting their homework done, but what about the parents who might need to access the internet and whatnot? So what we'll probably be using the funds for is to look at where the best spots are for towers, or where there's already existing towers, and make sure they have fiber backhaul there, because with a fiber backhaul they can increase the speeds and have more throughput for the customers there. If they're hopping from wireless site to wireless site, you end up losing signal strength as the more hops you
You're using up your spectrum.
Yeah, the latency grows drastically on that.
It's kind of like what you see up there. If you look at it as a spider web, you want to get as many tick points as you can.
So do you see CRBN, Serban, do you see yourselves putting up your own towers that you lease to, like, we've got Rise Broadband, or we've got Graymont Co-op that are providing internet around? I mean, are you providing it yourself, like putting up towers that you provide internet yourselves?
In addition to being a last mile provider, we're also a middle mile provider. So what that means is we provide service to other internet service providers. So we have fixed wire internet service providers that we provide access to, and wireless as well. So when you start talking about going to a tower site, we can go back to our wireless internet service providers that are customers of ours and essentially see who has the best offering for the residents of the county. And so whether that's us that ends up providing the service or another wireless internet service provider, it doesn't matter to us. Either way, we're either helping one of our clients and the community, or we're doing it ourselves for the community.
So that means that AT&T or MediaCom or somebody like that might be using your assets?
It's highly unlikely that AT&T or MediaCom would come to us and ask to use our assets. The internet service providers that we have are standalone islands of service within the rural areas. They're not an AT&T isn't going to come to us. They'll put it in themselves. They have the capital to do that.
Do we use theirs?
Can we use theirs?
Do we do it in the opposite direction? They're bigger than we are. Do we use their assets?
They will sell you service, but it might be at a price that you cannot make affordable for the residents.
Yeah.
So they're delivering a profit to the bottom line for Wall Street.
I guess, for instance, my internet comes off of, it's Rise Broadband is the provider, but they have a lease agreement with Verizon and use their tower for the line of sight off of that. But, you know, who knows what Verizon's charging them to do such a thing.
Paul?
So I'm kind of ignorant to everywhere else other than what I deal with personally, which is my service and how it works. Are we looking at expanding the amount of service providers or bringing in more local businesses to do that? Or expanding the original ones that we have? Or what exactly does that look like?
Keep going.
Yeah, keep going.
So, you know, I gave this example to the finance committee, you know. Part of the challenge you have now in any rural county is that where you have the cities, Mediacom is there. And the reason they're there is because there's enough density in the homes that they could build out the community and return a profit. But once you get outside of the rural communities and you're basically in the rural county areas, there's never going to be fiber to the home just because it's going to be cost prohibitive. And so there has to be a wireless solution that addresses that. And then while you're taking fiber down these county roads, if any home you pass, you know, you need to offer service to them as an opportunity if you're going to a tower or whatever the case may be. So let's say we get to a tower and we're going to do fiber backhaul from that tower. It is conceivable that we could have 2 of our wireless internet service providers, or 3 of them, however many, that buy service from us on the tower providing services. And the advantage of that would be, you know, there's choice. Choice is what drives price down. So. Yeah. Did you get it? Okay. He did. Any other questions?
What are you needing from us?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
That's correct.
Oh, okay. I'll get to that in a minute. Any other questions? Any questions for Mark?
I guess
Jason?
when you look, if you go back to the map that Marty had, where our underserved spots are at, are we going to where we can get the most bang for our buck and going to go and focus on the rural area, kind of hitting the towns in that area to grab them? Or are we going out to the spots to where it is absolutely terrible and trying to get some to them? I guess, you know,
What's the goal?
yeah, it's going to be extremely, we're going to pick winners and losers out of this deal, I think, with the money. I'm trying to find a nice way of saying it, but we are going to pick winners and losers out of this process with the amount of money that we put.
We're not going to get 100% coverage of, you know, 100 up, you know, 20 down. It's just, that's not realistic. What we can do is look at the unserved areas and the underserved areas and look at what we already have in place, what the school has in place. And here it goes back to collaboration with other entities and with, you know, with Raymond and say Mediacom, but kind of the other providers, and work with them and see, all right, you've got this, we can go here, and that's going to cover this area. And that's, I mean, that's, you just do the best you can with what you've got.
And has there been, and I'm sure you guys have talked about it, but the private public sector partnerships and stuff, have we looked down that alleyway to see if there's any possible way where everybody can work together? I mean, I realize on the private side, it's all everybody for themselves. It's capitalism. It's trying to make the money with what we got. But is there a way that we can get some partnerships between the private and the public to make this work a little bit better? Because, you know, I am in, just like most of the people here that's in the rural part of Livingston County, we pay a lot of money to have our internet provided for our house, but, you know, COVID, like you said, showed all the weak spots, and it got extremely expensive. I think we're on our third or fourth internet provider since COVID, because of the prices have just gone through the absolute roof. And, you know, if we're going to put money towards something like this, it's going to be a hard sell for me to go to my constituents in the northern part of this county. If they don't get any buy-in from this, it's going to be a hard sell for them.
Yeah, I think part of that is what the engineering firm does, is they look at the amount of money we have and where the needs are, and realistically, how do we leverage the money to try and hit as many people that are underserved as possible. And so that's not I'm going to pick a favorite. That's more about having somebody that has that expertise that'll figure that out.
Gotcha.
And so, and then the other piece to it is I wouldn't think of this as the one and only. This is like step one. You know, there's going to be BEAD money coming down the pipe in the next year or two. There's going to be other funds available. So this is just like the first step in trying to address this issue of getting better bandwidth for everybody.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, the federal government has made a commitment to broadband, so there should be some federal dollars side of
I would imagine this is going to be a never-ending process, because when I was in high school, it seemed like if you could get 1 megabit internet, it would have been like a panacea. And now we're talking 25 isn't enough, and 100. I mean, 10 years from now, everybody's going to want gigabit service. It's never-ending. Well, yeah. I mean, now everyone wants to watch TV through the internet. You used to get TV through your satellite dish or through your broadcast, and now it has to be through the internet, and that's 4K, and then it's going to be 8K TV, and it's never ending.
The state's goal, and don't quote me on this, but I think it's 100 symmetric up and down by like 2028. That's their goal.
Good luck.
Yeah. Most people don't have that in town.
Any other questions?
Thank you so much, I appreciate it.
Now to what you were asking. Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to support the initiatives of the Connect Livingston Broadband Group to continue working towards broadband upgrades, partnering with Servin, and to allocate approximately $1.6 million of the remaining ARPA funds as part of that commitment to be used as matching funds on grant opportunities.
We have a motion. Do we have a second to that motion?
Second.
Second by Blackard. Motion by Fannin, second by Blackard. We'll need a roll call.
Can we have a little discussion?
We can?
So we're talking 1.6 million left over from the ARPA that we have on hand. Is that all of what's left over, or?
It's pretty close. It's like 1,614,000 and something.
Are there competing uses?
$79.11.
Are there competing uses for these funds that we have right now, or?
So we've already issued 2 rounds of ARPA requests, and aside from the one that's on your, that number was assuming the one that's in front of you today is also approved, but aside from those, we have no other pending applications.
Okay.
So,
Any other questions, discussion?
Thank you, everybody, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Marty. Thank you, Mark. So we have a motion then. We have a second to the motion. There's no further discussion. Will you take a roll call vote, please, Christie?
Vietti,
Yes.
Bunning,
Yes.
Fair,
Yes.
Manker,
yes.
Berkman,
Yes.
Ambrose,
Yes.
Fannin,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Runyon,
Yes.
Mays,
Present.
Weller,
Yes.
Vidstam,
Yes.
Blackard,
Yes.
Herring,
Yes.
Welch,
Yes.
Carly,
Yes.
Lovell,
Yes.
Ritter.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries. Good job, Marty. I guess we'll move down to the consent agenda now. We will take action here. We have approval of the bills, addition of an FT position, jail administrative assistant, PS2, and appointment of Steve Kohler to the Flanagan Graymont Fire Protection District. I think we can do all three of those in one motion.
Motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion by Fannin, second by Airing. So, any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please, Christie.
Vieti.
Yes.
Bunning.
Yes.
Fair.
Yes.
Manker.
Yes.
Berkman.
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Fannin.
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Runyon.
Yes.
Mays.
Yes.
Weller.
Yes.
Bitstum.
Yes.
Blackard.
Yes.
Airing.
Yes.
Welch.
Yes.
Carly.
Yes.
Lovell.
Yes.
Ritter.
Yes.
Thank you. Now we'll move to the action agenda, committee reports. We'll start with Public Property Committee, John Vidstum, Chair. So John, please.
We've talked about this before, it comes around every so often, our lease agreement on the tower up at Odell, that property was sold. So we need to get into a new lease agreement with the new owners, and I will let Alina explain all the Ps and Qs to that.
Okay, so the terms of the agreement are pretty much the same. There was one renewal left, the current renewal that we're in, which has about 2 years, and then another 5-year renewal. This lease does incorporate 2 additional options should the county choose to take them, which will take you through 2025, or 2040, sorry. So they're under the same terms of the prior agreements with Fortino. We will pay the portion of the taxes associated with the tower. And I believe right now the current lease rate is $5,000. It increases every 5 years by $500. Yes.
Maybe I missed something, Alina, but you just said that there are 2 other options associated with that?
They're renewal options. So this one goes through 2025, and then in 2025, if you wanted to renew the lease, you have an option to renew again. And then we added 2 additional options, 2 additional 5-year
Okay.
options.
I missed that.
No, it's okay. I probably didn't say it correctly.
No,
Sorry.
Takes them to when? When does it take, if they take the options, it goes to what?
2040.
Are there any other questions for Alina? Mr. Weller?
I was just waiting a second.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
If there are any other questions, I'll make a motion to approve that.
Motion by Vidstum, second by Weller. Roll call vote, please, Christie.
Vieti.
Yes.
Bunning.
Yes.
Fair.
Yes.
Manker.
Yes.
Berkman.
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Fannin.
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Runyon.
Yes.
Mays.
Yes.
Weller.
Yes.
Bitstum.
Yes.
Blackard.
Yes.
Airing.
Yes.
Welch.
Yes.
Carly.
Yes.
Lovell.
Yes.
Ritter.
Yes.
Anything else, Mr. Vidstum?
Outside of that, everything seems to be moving at about a snail's pace, I think, like usual. We have a little trouble with our generator on our new health building, and the company, what do you call it, main contractor, but we are slowly trying to get them worked out. And outside of that, I guess that's all I have.
Thank you for your report. Let's move to Finance Committee, Chair Marty Fannin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have a resolution for the state's attorney and public prosecutor. This is something we do every year. The good news is the cost went down a little bit, so you don't hear that very often. So I'd make a motion to approve this.
Motion by Fannin, second by Ritter. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please, Christie.
Vieti.
Yes.
Bunning.
Yes.
Fair.
Yes.
Manker.
Yes.
Berkman.
Yes.
Ambrose.
Yes.
Fannin.
Yes.
Myers.
Yes.
Runyon.
Yes.
Mays.
Yes.
Weller.
Yes.
Bitstum.
Yes.
Blackard.
Yes.
Airing.
Yes.
Welch.
Yes.
Carly.
Yes.
Lovell.
Yes.
Ritter.
Yes.
Thank you. We also have resolutions for some parcels. Do you want to talk about those, or? This is something that comes up quite often also. It's nothing new, nothing out of the ordinary, but any questions?
So there's 5 of them. It's one in Streeter, which is an empty lot. One in Ancona, which is just a long strip of wooded land. There's a house in Cornell, house in Pontiac, house in Strong.
Any questions? No? Good. Nice and easy. That's the way I like them. Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion to approve those.
Motion by Fannin, second by Manker. We'll need a roll call vote.
Vieti,
Yes.
Bunning,
Yes.
Fair,
Yes.
Manker,
Yes.
Berkman,
Yes.
Ambrose,
Yes.
Fannin,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Runyon,
Yes.
Mays,
Yes.
Weller,
Yes.
Bidston,
Yes.
Blackard,
Yes.
Ayring,
Yes.
Welch,
Yes.
Carly,
Yes.
Lovell,
Yes.
Ritter.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chairman, I have one final resolution authorizing ARPA grant monies in the amount of $324,500. I would make a motion to approve that.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Good, Sam.
I'll second.
Second by Ambrose. Motion by Fannin, second by Ambrose. Do we have any discussion on this? Or let's take a vote then. Roll call, please.
Vieti,
Yes.
Bunning,
Yes.
Fair,
Yes.
Manker,
Yes.
Berkman,
Yes.
Ambrose,
Yes.
Fannin,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Runyon,
Yes.
Mays,
Present.
Weller,
Yes.
Yes.
Bidston, Blackard,
Yes.
Ayring,
Yes.
Welch,
Yes.
Carly,
Yes.
Lovell,
Yes.
and Ritter.
Yes.
All right. Mr. Chairman, that is all I have for tonight. I thank you.
Okay. So, moving along to Highway Committee, Steve Lovell, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We didn't have a meeting this month. We will have a meeting in January, so that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lovell. Move to Sheriff, Jail, and License Committee, Bob Weller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had a meeting that was just slightly longer than Mr. Lovell's meeting. We had a very short agenda. We had 3 raffle licenses, one of them for the Pontiac Sportsman's Club, which is basically an annual thing they do all the time. And then we had 2 from Dwight Country Club, same thing. They do it on an annual basis. So those 3 raffle licenses were approved. We had a short discussion regarding the assistant to the jail administrator, which we have already covered earlier in tonight's meeting. And we are pleased to say that Sheriff Baum and Superintendent Draper are both here this evening. Sheriff, do you have any comments? No, sir. Superintendent, do you have any comments? Okay, that would conclude my report.
Thank you, Mr. Weller. In that case, we'll move to Ag and Zoning. Jason Bunning, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have no action items to bring before the full board tonight, but a couple informational items. We started last Tuesday on working through our ordinance on the solar farm moratorium that we currently have going on. Sat and had good dialogue, good discussion for about 2 hours there. The committee is working the right direction. What we are probably going to do is we are meeting again next Thursday night for anybody that's interested, December 22nd at 6 p.m. to kind of finalize some of the stuff that we started on the discussion on Tuesday. What's probably going to happen in the January board meeting is hoping that we can come to some type of resolutions to where we can send it back to the ZBA. They can go through their public hearings that they need to have on the changes to the ordinance, but we're also probably going to put in motion the extension of a moratorium, hoping that we can get consensus and get this moratorium lifted in March, but in order for this process to work, we've got to start it as well. So we will probably have two things rolling at the same time. We'll have a Plan A and a Plan B, and let's hope that Plan A goes through. So for anybody that's interested, again, next Thursday, December 22nd at 6 p.m., Ag and Zoning is going to get together for a special meeting. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for your report. I want to make one comment about that Ag and Zoning meeting which I attended. I want to thank Chairman Budding for the way he conducted the meeting. One of the things he asked for was everybody be respectful. That occurred that night. I hope that all the chairs will do that, myself included. And so I laud him for the way that meeting was conducted, and I laud the people that were there for their conduct. So it's a very tough thing to deal with, and there's different ideas, but I tell you what, it was a very civil and well-organized situation. I think a lot of progress was made. So I thank everybody involved, and especially the chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I would also like to thank thank Mr. Bunting for agreeing to bring cookies and punch to the next meeting.
I'm not touching that. Let's move to Information and Technology Committee. Gina Manker, Chair.
The IT Committee did not meet this December.
Thank you. We'll move to Rules, Legislation, Veterans, and Community Service Committee. Mr. Vietti, Jack Vietti, Chair.
Thank you, Chairman. That's a whole lot, right there. That was longer than the meeting took. We had one appointment at the meeting. We had the gentleman, Stephen P. Kaler, for the Flanagan Graymont Fire Protected District, and was approved, and the meeting lasted 8.5 minutes. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
You're welcome. That's usually lengthy for you. 4 minutes is your average. Executive Committee, we did not meet, but I do want to say I thank all the people that have stepped up and willing to be chairman of their committees. Thank the committee members. I hope everybody will serve their committees well. I'm sure that they will, and I appreciate everybody's cooperation. So we'll move to public comment. Is there any comment? Public comment. Mr. Weller.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I hold another Weller there. So I'll back up and I'll add some things to the sheriff's report on that.
You may. I would.
The regular population of the total of 93 beds, 29 north, 64 central, Livingston County numbers of 47. December, Livingston County was 50, north was 28, central was 63, central was 71. She picked up 2 from Cook County, so that total strangely equal to the total of the year before. The billings for October was the north beds.
Well, thanks for giving it to us now, and thanks Superintendent Draper for bringing that information in. Are there any other comments?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir, Mr. Fannin.
I would just like to bring to the attention of the county board that House Bill HB 5855, the so-called Protect Illinois Communities Act, Iroquois County has done a resolution opposing this bill. What this bill is doing, or trying to do, is it's coming after guns. It's coming after limiting magazine size for not only long weapons, but for handguns also. And I would just like everybody to think about considering doing a resolution next month along the same lines as Iroquois County opposing that House bill.
Thank you. Mr. Weller?
I would go right along with that, this is the same video that I sent to you and the vice chair and to Alina yesterday or the day before. This is that same house building. This thing is dangerous. Yeah. And I think we need to uphold the Constitution of the state of Illinois and the Constitution of the United States, and this thing is not in line with our Constitution.
No.
So we can tell the governor we're not going along with it.
Well stated. So we need to look at that and see if we can get that on the item as, or the agenda as an item to, consider. Thanks for bringing that to light.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. Are there any other public comments? Seeing none, we'll move to Mr. Vietti's favorite part.
Merry Christmas. Move for adjournment.
Second.
Second by Lovell. So we can just do a voice vote on that. All in favor of closing the ceremony? Aye. Opposed? Next meeting, January 12th, Monday, 6 p.m.
That's Thursday, isn't it? Thursday,
It
January
is
12th.